Welcome to the initial training for scoping. This will take you through the initial business case. We are doing this in regards to the 27-20-30 scoping cycle, and we will lead you through both the context as well as the process in order to begin the initial business case with the funding program managers. Here we go.
First step is to select the scoping portal from the TPMS portal page. Once on the scoping portal page, you have all of the options to select here. To get to business case, select the business case portal. With the business case portal open, you have the option of several dynamic views. You don't need to know that name. These boxes, the first is the business case entry form. As you scroll down, you can use either the scroll bar all the way over on the right or click in any white space and scroll with your mouse. Scroll past the entry form and you'll see Scoping Business Case Initial, followed by Scoping Narrative, Scoping Coordinator, followed by Scoping Business Case Draft, and then Scoping Business Case Final. Back to the top of the page, we will enter a new business case by selecting the business case entry form. To enter a complete form, you will have to enter all of the fields that have a red star. The first of these fields is project name.
The name of the project should follow the general rules and naming conventions of the STIP. This will eventually be checked by the STIP coordinator prior to programming of the project. Guidance is provided within the business case guidance shown to the right. The business case guidance will show all the guidance associated with the fields, and we recommend you have this open at the time that you're filling out both the entry form and the initial business case. For the project name, the best practice is to use our standard STIP naming conventions shown within our guidance documentation. If that is not able to be done at this time, the minimum requirement and best practice is to describe the location of the project area.
The next field with a red star to be completed is highway name. This field is a drop-down. You can select anywhere on the line or the black triangle. When you select this field, you can scroll through the options or you can type the number you're looking for. You can also type the letters. Select the highway of your choice. Next up is mile points. Enter the beginning mile points and end mile points of your project. You'll notice as I put in the end mile points of the project, a second highway name appeared for me to enter a second location.
Under highway name, if your project is not on or along a state highway, select off system. For beginning and ending mile point, if your project is not on the state highway or on a state highway, you will need to enter a latitude and longitude instead of a mile point number. Please ensure that you enter only a latitude and longitude out to 6 decimal places for the latitude and longitude separated by a comma. Do not add any additional information in these fields other than the required formatting. Please reference the prompt underneath the field name to ensure that you're entering the correct format. You will need to enter this in for both the beginning and ending mile point for that latitude and longitude when not along the state highway system. Please ensure that you are only entering in the beginning and ending mile point when you are along the state highway system. Additional location information is available up to 5 locations. Any additional locations will need to be added into additional background information later on in the business case and the initial business case portion of this training.
The next field with a red star is primary and sub-program funding source 1. You can select anywhere along the line or the black triangle. When you select this drop-down, currently you will see test funding programs, but once the system is live, you will see the funding programs ODOT is scoping for this scoping cycle. Select what you are looking for.
For the primary and sub-program funding source 1, enter in the funding program that you are representing in regards to the business case being submitted. For the cost estimate, enter in the amount of funding that you are anticipating the project to cost. Each funding program needs to be specified to show what that funding program is representing and how much funding that individual program is providing towards the proposed project.
Enter the amount this funding program will be contributing to this project.
After the cost estimate for funding source 1 is entered, another primary sub-program funding source 2 will appear. If it is known at this time that an additional funding source will be provided for the proposed project, please enter in that additional funding program and what that funding program will provide in the next Source 2 cost estimate field.
Now that all of the red star fields have been filled in, a blue Submit button appears. Select this button to save your form. Once you have seen the success message, you know your form has been saved. Navigate to the top left corner of the screen to File. Select File and then refresh. Scroll below the business case entry form and find your project in Scoping Business Case Initial. Select anywhere on the line and a details window will open. Make sure you have your funding cycle selected. Anytime you change anything within Scoping Business Case Initial, you'll see a blue Save button appear. Best practice is to save early and save often. Next, we will begin checking all of the fields that we input in the form. We want to make sure and select region as soon as we open Business Case Initial. Select anywhere on the line or the black triangle. Select the region responsible for this project. Once you've selected, the blue Save button appears. Now that you have a region selected, you can filter by that region. On the left side, you'll see where it says Filter Off. Select this, and a drop-down appears with all 6 regions available. Region 6 is for statewide projects. Select the region that your project is in. You'll notice that the projects are now limited to just the region that you've selected for your project. Select your project name again, and the details window opens. As we continue to fill out the initial business case, we go through these fields and ensure that we have the correct information. You'll notice the beginning and end mile points that we put in the initial form. We now have available highways 2 through 5 to add additional locations. If you need to add locations beyond the 5 available, use the Additional Background Information section.
As an alternative to using the additional background information, you may also place a map within ProjectWise denoting the locations of all the project locations associated with the project. A good example of this would be an arts project that would contain 100 locations throughout a region associated with the project.
These next few sections are text fields. You will see a small bit of guidance underneath each header. For additional information, check out the Scoping Manual SharePoint. First is Problem, Opportunity, Issue.
Under Problem, Opportunity, Issue, explain why the project is needed. Provide a full detailed description on what is the purpose of the project, what objectives are trying to be met by the funding program funding this project or programs, and what need is being satisfied by the completion of this project.
The next field is Potential Solutions.
For the potential solution, make sure to identify all the proposed solutions that the funding program or programs is proposing in order to resolve the description, problem, opportunity, or issue as described above, and that the solution is going to be able to be completed as a result of the completion of the project.
Remember to save early and save often. Next up is Project Outcomes, Goals, and Priorities.
Under this section, explain what success looks like for this project. What are those outcomes of the project that are going to be looked for in order to be able to consider this project successful? List any additional goals or priorities as a result of what the funding program is looking for selection and award criteria, as well as what may be needed from any of the communities involved or impacted by the project.
The next field is Construction Year. This field is for a 4-digit year. Notice the format shows you with 4 X's.
For the construction year, make sure you're listing the federal fiscal year in which it is anticipated that construction will be obligated within the STIP. For the following text box, explain your reasoning as to how you are planning in order to make sure that that construction year is going to be accomplished.
The next field is High Impact Risks.
For high impact risks, describe the major project constraints and risks relative to the assumptions, scope, schedule, and budget of the project being proposed. Those high impact risks noted need to be those that are going to be of a significant risk to the project. Those items that may influence the project to significantly impact the scope, schedule, or budget may cause the project to be greatly expanded, split, combined, or canceled as a result of said risks.
Don't forget to save. The next field is Additional Background Information.
Additional background information should include any and all additional location information not already included within the business case or project map included in ProjectWise. Please ensure that all locations pertinent to the project are listed. Any additional documentation listing said locations should also be identified within this area to ensure that people are aware of those additional attachments or documentation listing that additional location information. This is also the section to list any other pertinent information revolving around that project. Please ensure that all other relevant information is posted here that will be necessary to allow the region to further scope this project.
The next field is leveraging opportunities.
Leveraging opportunities is going to be used throughout scoping. Initially, prior to scoping, the funding program needs to list any and all potential leveraging opportunities that they may see moving forward into scoping and with the region associated with being responsible for this proposed project. As scoping commences, additional funding opportunities or leveraging opportunities may come up and be available. As we move through scoping, additional leveraging opportunities may arise. With those additional leveraging opportunities, we need to list what those are, what additional scope, schedule, or budget may be needed and anticipated as a result of such leveraging, and make sure that the rest of the business case is updated accordingly based on the leveraging opportunities that are likely to move forward. Some examples of items that may also need to be listed would be opportunities for different types of delivery, such as alternative delivery, or other mechanisms that may allow the project in order to move forward more efficiently or be concluded in a much more timely manner.
The next field is cost estimate assumption confidence level. This is a drop-down field. Select anywhere in the line or on the black triangle. You have a selection of drop-downs. Select what your confidence level is in your cost estimate.
In this field, you will be selecting what your confidence level is based on how you have put together your initial estimate from the funding program. As a result of this, you are providing the region with an idea about what your confidence level is in the estimate that you have put together. You may have used different tools, methods, and processes in order to put together your estimate. With this, you need to make the assumption of what level of confidence you have in that estimate and how likely it is in order to be very relatively close to what our scoping estimate is going to come out with at the end of scoping. Please ensure that the next field, the cost estimate assumption narrative, describes the methods, processes, and tools that you have used in order to put together your estimate and explain why you have the confidence level listed above.
The next field is cost estimate assumption narrative. Remember to save often. The next field shows us the primary and sub-program funding source 1 we selected in the form. If this should change, you have the opportunity to do so here. We then also have the cost estimate. If additional funding sources need to be added, you have the availability for sources 2 through 5.
When listing additional funding sources, make sure to identify what leveraging opportunities you are taking care of up above in the leveraging opportunities section. Please also note any additional funding sources must have a cost estimate also associated with that particular funding program, and that cost estimate being representative of the scope and schedule being added into the project.
If you find you need more than 5 funding sources, scroll to the top of the screen and select the Email Support button. This will open an email to the TPMS support mailbox. Type what you need here and send.
When you get to the end of the initial business case, there is the initial business case complete checkbox. This checkbox will not be available until scoping has started for the next available STIP scoping cycle. When available, it will be up to the funding program to check this box indicating that they have completed the initial business case. The funding program is responsible to check the initial business case complete checkbox as shown. When this box is checked, the initial business case will move from initial to draft business case. Please ensure that all work on the initial business case is complete, as checking this box will denote to the region that you are ready to begin discussions with the region on the proposed project in regards to feasibility, overall cost estimate, and other parts and components of the business case.
When you select the initial business case complete checkbox, you are prompted to save. Once you take this action, it cannot be undone. Make sure you are ready to send this business case to the region before you push save on this checkbox. You will notice our business case disappeared from the view here. Next, go to File and refresh. Then scroll to Business Case Draft. If when you get to Scoping Business Case Draft, you do not see your business case, go to File and refresh again. Scroll down to Scoping Business Case Draft, and you should see your project at the top. You have the filter for regions again. Now select your business case and the details window should open. Here you have the attachments with one. Select attachments and you'll see the PDF for your business case. When you open this PDF, you'll see it says Initial.